let us remain standing as we hear these words from the Gospel of Matthew, the 11th chapter, verses 28 through 30. And Jesus says, "Come to me, all you that are weary and are carrying heavy burdens, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and learn from me, for I am gentle and humble in heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy, and my burden is light." This is the word of God for the people of God. Thanks be to God. Amen. And let us go to the Lord in prayer. We thank you, Holy One, for your presence among us, and for your holy word that instructs us. This day, open our hearts and minds with the power of your Holy Spirit, that we might take in the lesson you have for us today. Please bless the words that you have given me, that they might be fruitful for you. In Jesus' name, amen. Have you ever had one of those days? There's a children's book entitled One of Those Days. It's written by Amy Krauss Rosenthal. And it says, "Sometimes life doesn't seem fair. Have you ever had a day when your favorite pants shrunk in the wash? Your best friend was being a beast. You were too short to go on the best ride. No one would listen to you. You bowled only gutter balls. And your nice sweater made you itchy." Have you ever had one of those days? We all know what that is like, to have one of those days. And it is as hard on children as it is on any of us to have one of those days. But it's even worse when one of those days becomes one of those weeks, and then one of those months, and then one of those decades. That is how it was for Naomi, the main character of our story today. Her name means pleasant. But after her decade of bad news and grief, she's in the pit of depression and declares to all the world that she is changing her name to Mara, which means bitter. Obviously, she's in the depths of despair. Her world seems very dark. Her life has been rough for more than a decade because of the famine in her hometown of Bethlehem, which means house of bread. She and her husband have moved to Moab, about 40 miles east of Bethlehem, and they live as foreigners in a foreign land. And they have 2 sons who marry Moabite women, and then her husband dies, and she grieves. And then her 2 sons die, and she grieves some more. With so much grief and sadness, she's depressed, and she's having a hard time facing the world in all her sorrow. All the joy and light seem to have been taken away. Can you imagine the grief, the emotional pain that comes with the loss of all 3 men in her life? And on top of that, she's living in a foreign land with a new language and new customs and new foods, and now she's depending on the charity of these foreigners. What do you do when you have a bad day?
I could stay home.
Stay home. Pull the covers up over your head and just kind of hope it goes away?
Yes.
Yeah. Anybody else?
Turn on music.
Turn on music. Pray.
Breathe.
Read.
Breathe.
Breathe. Oh, Henry, you're always good at that breathing. Karen?
Netflix binging.
Netflix binging. I have that one on here. Yeah. I had to eat chocolate, turn to comfort food, like my grandma's macaroni and cheese. Yeah. Get into your most comfortable sweats and a sweater and turn on the TV. tune out the world. We all have those strategies we go to when we have one of those days and we just can't leave the house. So what do you do when you've had a bad decade? In our day and age, a counselor would be the appropriate response. But for Naomi, she decides, I want to go home again. I want to go home. Naomi hears that the bread is available in the house of bread again, and so she says, I'm going to go home. I'm going to go back home where things are familiar, where I know the people and the people know me. So she packs up and she heads back to Bethlehem. And both her daughters-in-law start out with her. And she talks to them, and she prays with them, and one goes home, and Ruth stays with her, and declares she will always stay with her. And so at least in the midst of her deep despair, Naomi is not alone. She has a companion. She has someone to watch over her, to listen to her, and knows some of her pain from her own loss of the father-in-law and her husband. A little bit of light breaks in, just hints of light into her darkness. And when Naomi comes home again, and all her old friends recognize her, her grief and anger spill out upon them all as she declares, the hand of the Lord has turned against me. So call me Mara, which means bitter. She is so sad, so depressed, that she doubts God loves her, and she states that God has even turned against her. She is in the very depths of despair. A gentleman named Paul in a blog called Holy for Christ writes, no matter how logic defies, guilt, rejection, or remorse over things that have no control over, those suffering from depression are not convinced that it's not their fault. Naomi believes that God hates her. She sees herself the cause of her own grief for making God angry with her. The classic victim of depression sees himself or herself as guilty of what they deserve, that they're being punished for living. They see life as a dark place full of turmoil and toil and grief. Naomi rejects the happiness of her old friends because she cannot see any happiness for herself. End of quote. Right now we are in the midst of a sermon series called Reboot Your Life. You may have noticed the sign as you came in the door. Breathe and reboot. And if anyone needed a life reboot right now, it's our poor, dear, depressed Naomi turned Mara. But even before all those deaths, God was at work in her life and placing just the right person in her life for just such a time as this. Someone who would not say the old platitudes, it'll be okay, tomorrow will be better, let go, let God, just have faith. Ruth is there. She lost her husband, too. She lost the opportunity to have a family. She knows this grief is not the kind that platitudes will be. But the all-knowing God has placed them together because they need each other. And in their needing each other and supporting one another, life for both of them can be filled with light and joy again someday. Will take some time. But the night will turn to day and light again. And in the midst of it, they are serving God's purposes, whether they know it or not. So they come back to Bethlehem. They're settled in, and the necessity of eating presents itself. And so as Ruth helped Naomi adapt to Moab, now it's Naomi's turn to help Ruth adapt to Bethlehem. Helping others gets us out of ourselves. It gives us that sense of purpose that we need each day. The gift of being needed helps us face a new day. And so Naomi sets out to teach Ruth about the Jewish welfare custom of gleaning. The Hebrew people took care of their poor by offering them the opportunity to glean the extras, that which fell in the fields. And it just so happens that Ruth ends up in Boaz's field. Some would call that a coincidence. We would call that a God incidence. As Boaz is a good, kind, God-fearing man, and he is near kin to Naomi's deceased husband. Aha! Things are looking up. The dawn is beginning to break on the horizon. And coincidentally, Boaz's mother was Rahab, another foreigner. And so Boaz knows a little of the circumstances of the barriers to a foreigner that Ruth is facing. Isn't that wonderful of God to place that man with that experience in her life? Boaz is also well connected to Bethlehem's grapevine, and so he has learned that Ruth is a very good woman, and that she is helping and caring for the grieving Naomi. He is glad, and he rewards her for her goodness. And so now there's food. We solved that problem. That always happens to brighten a hungry person's day, to have food. And time goes by. It's time to celebrate the harvest now that it's done. And our Mara Naomi begins to see a bit more hope on the horizon. For now there is the possibility of a marriage for Ruth, so that she might be provided for beyond Naomi's lifetime. So Naomi teaches Ruth about the Hebrew Levitical laws regarding next of kin, providing heirs for the dead husband so that his property and lineage might continue. There's nothing like a little matchmaking for a good Jewish mother to kind of lift her life a little bit, all right? Some romantic scheming. It helps to get Mara and Naomi's life to move a little too more towards the Naomi and a little less from the Mara. She explains to Ruth how she can approach Boaz and make a proposal of marriage on the harvest floor. Ruth loves her. Ruth trusts her. And so she takes the bold action under the cover of darkness to provide for the both of them. Life is looking better, especially as Boaz gladly accepts her advance and says, "But there is another who is closer. Let me see if he wants to redeem the land and you. If not, I will." And so in the light of day and in the presence of the elders, Boaz approaches the closer relative. When the closer relative hears that there's a catch to the land, i.e. that he must take Ruth as his wife and then provide her a son to continue Elimelech's line, he passes. He says, "No thanks." Boaz is then free to take Ruth as his own. Yes, the light is stronger now. Naomi's life is beginning to look up. She marries off her Ruth. She moves into the house of Boaz. She has no worries anymore. Both she and Ruth are taken care of. And then Ruth conceives and bears a son and names him Obed. And she gives the son to Naomi to carry on the line of her father-in-law. And the light dawns brightly into Naomi's life again, as the women of the village proclaim, "Blessed be the Lord who has not left you this day without next of kin. And may his name be renowned in Israel. He shall be to you a restorer of life and a nourisher of your old age. For your daughter-in-law, who loves you, who is more to you than 7 sons, has borne him." Then Naomi took the child and laid him in her bosom and called him and became his nurse. They named him Obed, and he became the father of Jesse, who was the father of David, a future king. And so Naomi's life has been rebooted. It has been started again. It doesn't mean that there won't be some of those days. It doesn't mean that she may not suffer depression again. But for this day and for this time, she lives more as Naomi than Mara. And she recognizes that God is in her life again. And that she can rejoice in God's provision. Because she had Ruth to watch over her and to listen to her and to support her and carry her when she was too depressed to move on, she came to know the light of God and the love of God again. She came through her depression to the light. Life is better when you have a good friend and a faith community who can hold the light of Christ up for you and light your way when you cannot hold the light, but only see the darkness. Sometimes we must rely on the faith and strength of others to provide the light of Christ for us. Remember, this is my cross, my broken cross that is perfectly whole in its brokenness. Naomi's life was perfectly whole and holy in its brokenness. Zion has always been and will always be a place where we can find life and hope and light, and where there are others who can love us and hold us up as our life reboots and begins again. Zion is a place for rest and peace and hope that are needed to restore us. And it is a place where we can find a purpose and serve God and one another, no matter who we are, where we've come from, or where we've been, or what we've done. Zion has been through a lot in her lifetime. Thanks be to God for all the saints who have gone before and made sure that the doors stayed open, the windows were cleaned and maintained, and could let the light, some light, shine in, so that we could worship and let God's light shine into our lives and brighten our days, and let God's light be shared with the world. These windows have lit the days of worshiping widows, soldiers, carpenters, quilters, knitters, teachers, and office workers, and more. And these windows have shined God's light on the ministries that happen in Christmas for others, food pantries, Blue Christmas services, Brisbanes and Barnabases, weddings, funerals, and countless other missions and ministries that have brought the light of Christ into a world that lives in darkness. Thank God for all who have gone before and will follow in our wake to lighten the darkness of a bitter and sorrowful world. Thanks be to God.